At number 10, we have Julia Fox. So it's no lie that Julia Fox is a huge Kardashian fan, and she even went as far to date one of Kim's ex-husbands, Kanye West. When Kanye started to picture himself with Julia on dates, it said he even brought her an entire new wardrobe. So the photographer they invited on the dates could make her look like the next best thing. Julia even wrote on her story 6 days later after they met about how it felt like such a Cinderella moment. Now this would all come just weeks after Kanye declared he wanted his ex Kim back, and Julia and Kanye went so far to make Julia a Kim Kardashian twin. It was clear the two stars were trying too hard, and it was definitely a huge cringe moment. At number 9, we have Kris Jenner. Now don't get me wrong, Kris Jenner is beautiful and generally a pretty fashionable icon, but sometimes it seems like she sees herself more as a peer rather than a mother when it comes to her daughters. Now Kris has been pictured in some sheer tops and some pretty flamboyant outfits when she traveled to London to support Kendall in various photo shoots. Now Kris is in great shape, however when it comes to clothes, less is always more when it comes to bright colors. Kendall has even said that sometimes her mom will only wear a leopard print robe when answering the door. Now it's clear that Kris doesn't want to grow old, and the truth is no one does. However, you have to admit the mom of 6 does try way too hard to stay young. From her lavish clothing, makeup, friends, skincare, she's definitely not shy about it, and we get it. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Leonardo DiCaprio. Just like Kris Jenner, Leonardo is definitely someone who refuses to admit he's getting older. With the Wolf of Wall Street actor trying to maintain the social romantic life of a college frat boy, over the last couple of years, it's really made us question why he refuses to date anyone over the age of 25. Now, Leonardo is infamous for dating multiple supermodels and hanging out on yachts, and it's exactly not uncommon for rich men to date women half their age. However, Leonardo follows the strict weird age limit rule because he wants to remain frozen in time as a forever under 25. Now, it's clear that Leo sees women over 25 ready to settle down, and he's just here to have a good time. But he's trying way too hard to be a frat boy, and he just needs to settle down and enjoy his time with a girl who will love him and give him the space he needs when he needs it.
Number 7, Vanessa Hudgens. The High School Musical star made some pretty controversial comments, complaining about having to quarantine during the start of the pandemic. During an Instagram live, Vanessa said, "Yeah, till July sounds like a bunch of BS. I'm sorry. It's a virus. I get it. I respect it. But at the same time, like, even if everybody gets it, yeah, people are gonna die, which is terrible, but like, inevitable?" Saying this in a seemingly smug way created a massive backlash, considering how many people in her age group weren't listening to health officials about the quarantine measures, which were just starting to take place at the time. But naturally, her tone-deaf comments got her slammed across social media, with Olivia Wilde tweeting, "In 1,000 years, they'll dig up our society and they'll find this precious digital moment and be like, okay, so this is why they mysteriously disappeared from the earth." Vanessa, of course, tried to apologize and play the whole thing off as a misunderstanding, but it will forever go down as one of her most ignorant moments.
At number 6, we have Mariah Carey. Now, just like Madonna, pop star Mariah Carey seems to have a hard time believing she's not 25 anymore. To be fair, Mariah is a decade younger than Madonna, but at the same time, at the age of 52, Mariah still wears outfits that make some people feel a little concerned. Now, the Obsessed With Me singer is known for her long, tight black gowns with sheer lace panels and very daring low necklines. She's also known to collaborate with younger artists such as Justin Bieber. Now, the real question is, does it come off cool or does it seem a little weird that Mariah is trying to stay current with younger fans? I mean, I haven't decided yet, but what do you think? And let me know in the comments below. But what is clear is that I'm still living for her outfits, and the icon still inspires us to cozy up in our own ballroom dresses while we hang around the house.
Number 5, Gal Gadot's Imagine. Another top moment from the mess that was 2020. Although she wasn't the only celebrity to take part in this weird out-of-touch video, Gal Gadot was the spearhead of it all. In a mashup with tons of different high-profile celebrities who all sang John Lennon's Imagine while locked inside their mega mansions, the moment was supposed to come across as heartwarming. Instead, people just saw these celebrities as not understanding the severity of what was happening to everyone around the world. Millions of people were dying, and Gal Gadot thought it was a good idea to preach peace and love while inside her heavily surveillanced mansion with a swimming pool and private chef. But like I said before, it wasn't just her. She also got Will Ferrell, Amy Adams, Natalie Portman, Mark Ruffalo, and Zoe Kravitz, among many others, to sing the song as well.
At number 4, we have Kim Kardashian. Now, Kim Kardashian's name has always said it all, and there's never any need to elaborate on it. However, it can be pretty hard to take Kim seriously sometimes, especially when she's crying or screaming, "Look at me." Technically, she could have been considered a contestant when it comes to testing new grounds for controversy. However, the star tries way too hard to remain the hottest woman alive. Remember when she dropped a photo from a full frontal photo shoot, or when she broke the internet while posing for a paper magazine? She's definitely conducted herself in a manner that no mother would, and it shows that she tries too hard for attention when in reality, she doesn't need to. I would personally like to see the star's true authentic side rather than the one she shows to get views personally.
Number 3, James Cameron. In 2009, the director was caught on camera at LAX telling a fan to get out of his face. He said, "I don't owe you an effing signature, just get out of my effing personal space," which some people claimed was extremely arrogant. But to be fair, no one is in a good mood when they're at the airport. But that same year, Josh Brolin claimed that he was verbally attacked by him, all because he chose to turn down a role in the Avatar sequel. He told Esquire, "James Cameron's effing calling me this name and that name, whatever." The director was also surprised that his comments about Wonder Woman proved to be so controversial. He criticized Gal Gadot's appearance and said that it was a step backwards for women. He said, "I mean, Gal Gadot was Miss Israel, and she was wearing a kind of bustier costume that was very form-fitting. To me, that's not breaking ground. I'm not saying I didn't like the movie, but to me, it's a step backwards." Although Cameron caught a lot of heat for those comments, he still stands by them today.
And number 2, we have Miley Cyrus. Now, if there's a queen of trying too hard, then Miley Cyrus would definitely wear that crown. Remember when Miley used to be the sweet, adorable girl we all grew to love during Hannah Montana? She's definitely come a long way since then, and I don't mean it in a good way. Don't get me wrong. Miley is an insanely talented singer who made a huge name for herself in the industry. However, her behavior has served to smear her reputation over time, and it's caused some major concerns of what's really going on with the star. From her twerking, to her constant sticking her tongue out, to her excessive liking to show a little more skin than she should. The list goes on to prove that Miley craves attention. It also proves that the star tried so hard to shed her once innocent image to show she's no longer the same woman and that she's more mature than who she used to be. I mean, I love the new Miley, but I know she's not everybody's favorite cup of tea. And at number 1 today, we have Justin Bieber. Now, over the years, Justin Bieber has been known to try so hard to prove to everyone he's a heart-throbbing bad boy, and he's definitely known how to drive his fans crazy, and he also provides a constant source of irritation for the rest of the world. Now, Justin Bieber has gone so far to appear to look cool, it can actually make you cringe. From abandoning his pet monkey in Germany, to having his bodyguards carrying him up the Great Wall of China, to constant disagreements he has with his neighbors, and many of his breakups with some of Hollywood's most beautiful women, have shown the star loves to be a degenerate we all know today since he first broke out into the entertainment scene. And I mean, it would have been cool if he didn't try so hard to appear cool and just showed how much fun you can have by still remaining humble to who you are.
Number 10, Kanye West ranting about Kim on Skid Row. Kanye West definitely isn't known for being the most normal celebrity there is, but there was one moment in 2021 where the rapper appeared particularly tone deaf even for him. Following a split from Kim Kardashian, Kanye had that period of time where he seemed to want to publicly ask her to take him back, including while giving a speech on Skid Row. Skid Row is the infamous downtown Los Angeles neighborhood known for its abject poverty and common violence. The rapper made an appearance during their Thanksgiving food drive for the less fortunate with Reverend Troy Vaughn, but while giving what was supposed to be an empowering speech to the homeless and poverty-stricken people who wanted to sit down for a hot meal, Kanye decided that that was the time to go on a lengthy rant about how God wants him back with Kim Kardashian. While in front of groups of people waiting for food, Kanye made the incredibly confusing statement of, quote, "If the enemy can separate Kimye, there's going to be millions of families that feel like that separation is okay. But when God brings Kimye back together, there's going to be millions of families that are going to be influenced to see that they can overcome the work of the separation, of trauma the devil has used to capitalize to keep people in misery while people step over homeless people to go to the Gucci store." Even for Kanye, a billionaire telling one of the largest unhoused populations in the US that God would reconcile him with his estranged billionaire ex-wife to help their cause is a bit much. Number 9, Ariana Grande licking donuts. Back in 2015, the former Nickelodeon star was the picture of innocence and was quickly becoming America's sweetheart. But things took a weird turn when surveillance surveillance footage displayed Ariana licking a tray of donuts in a small California bakery and remarking, quote, "What the f is that? I hate Americans, I hate America." Apparently, her excuse for licking the donut was she was frustrated because of the rates of childhood obesity in America. But like, girl, you walked into a bakery. What were you expecting? Carrots? After the onslaught of backlash and a police investigation, the singer issued a video apology. Quote, "Seeing a video of yourself behaving poorly that you had no idea was taken is such a rude awakening that you don't know what to do. I was so disgusted with myself." Well, it's definitely not the worst thing a celebrity has done. It's definitely one of the more confusing and out of touch things. I wonder if any of those donuts got sold to some unsuspecting customers afterwards. Number 8, the Kendall Jenner Pepsi commercial. The famous Pepsi commercial that made the rounds back on the internet back in 2017. While America was embroiled in protests and the exposing of the police force for brutality and blatant racism, Kendall Jenner thought that was the right time to crack open a cold, crisp Pepsi and tell everyone to just get along. While the rest of the world was fighting for equal rights, Pepsi released a commercial that put the reality star at the forefront of a pretty cringy moment where she was at the front of an unspecified protest citing peace and love with signs saying, quote, "Join the conversation." Kendall even bravely handed a Pepsi to a police officer in full riot gear. He drank it and the entire crowd of protesters cheered and laughed and hugged in glee. Yay for equality. One YouTube commenter even stated, quote, "I find it amazing how they managed to offend so many groups of people and yet say absolutely nothing at the same time." Obviously, the internet was enraged, as at the same time this video dropped, protesters were being taken in unmarked vans by the FBI, and people were rightly angry at Pepsi for trying to profit off of the mass suffering of others. Kendall also swiftly apologized for appearing in the video, saying, quote, "I felt so f***ing stupid. The fact that I would offend other people or hurt other people was definitely not the intent."
At number 7, we have Madonna. Now, Madonna's music career has been some everlasting power, but the pop star tries way too hard to stay hip while refusing to retire and stays in the game. The star has had multiple wardrobe functions and has even pushed things way too far, and it's made us question why people still listen to her music. In her Rebel Heart tour, Madonna could be seen having nuns dancing on poles, and it was so outrageous because you think you saw it all, and then Madonna proves you wrong and shows you something new. Now, you have to give it to her for speaking out against ageism, but it's clear she doesn't follow any rules and she never will, so you won't see the star stepping down from her throne anytime soon. However, she is trying way too hard to stay on top, and it's time for her just to chill out.
Number 6, Sam Smith having a meltdown. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's that celebrities love to complain from their ivory thrones. Take Sam Smith, for example. During the strict times of the stay-at-home order, they took the opportunity to take pictures of themselves crying while sitting on the steps of their multi-million-dollar mansion, with the caption about having a meltdown because they were forced to stay at home. Meanwhile, New York City had to bring in emergency ships just to house the amount of bodies that had been overwhelming crematoriums to the point that they couldn't house any more victims of illness. Poor Sam Smith and their sad little life.
Number 5, Tom Cruise. The actor's arrogance reached new heights when he decided to go after Brooke Shields in the worst way possible. He decided to publicly shame her for her moment of vulnerability when she admitted that she used antidepressants to help with her postpartum depression. To which Tom said, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There is nothing that can cure them whatsoever." And if that wasn't condescending enough for you, he added, "I care about Brooke Shields because I think she's an incredibly talented woman, but look at where her career has gone." But Tom came under even more scrutiny when he chose to double down on his comments. He told Matt Lauer on the Today Show that there is no such thing as a chemical imbalance, and the two of them proceeded to get into a heated discussion about taking medication. Tom insisted that the only way to cure depression was vitamins and exercise. I mean, imagine thinking that you know better than a doctor.
Number 4, James Corden in a rat suit singing with Camila Cabello. Listen, I'm fine with celebrities doing their weird little things so long as it's over there where I don't have to see them. Kind of like a spider in my room that stays on the other side of the room and very far away from me. But when they decide to inconvenience people going about their day, nah, that's when it gets weird. Like for instance, one Los Angeles morning when James Corden and Camila Cabello decided it was a good idea to stop traffic in a city that's already known for insane gridlock and sing the song Can't Hurt You as a promotion for the new Cinderella movie that Camila stars in. James Corden was in a rat suit singing the song while while everyone blocked traffic. Someone online even joked, quote, "Your husband just sliced the tip of his finger off making dinner and it won't stop bleeding. You're rushing to the emergency room and this happens. What you doing?" And then linked the video of James hip thrusting at a car in a rat costume.
At number 3, we have MGK. Now remember when MGK tried way too hard to become a rap god but failed miserably? Well, back in 2018, MGK would try to come for Eminem's throne by throwing shade in rapper Tech-Nine's 2018 song, No Reason. MGK would remind Eminem that you just rap, you're not gods, and I don't care who's got bars. Eminem would later return with his own diss on his song, Not Alike, and MGK would retaliate by releasing his own diss track called Rap Devil, where the rapper would throw even more shade at Eminem by saying all he ever does is yell at the mic and that it took him 6 years and a surprise album just to come with a diss. Now Eminem definitely came to end MGK's career and he released another diss track called Kill Shot. The song definitely finished the battle between MGK and Eminem, as Eminem would prove that he's still in fact a rap god and that he's not going anywhere. MGK tried so hard to be the next rapper, it was kinda sad to see him try, and the artist has since dabbled in acting and has switched over to making alternative rock music because he knew he screwed up big.
Number 2, Gwyneth Paltrow's life is harder than everyone else's. Gwyneth Paltrow is the queen of pissing people off. While she had a long history of saying things like, quote, "I'd rather die than eat cheese from a tin," she also managed to upset basically every mom by moaning about how her life is harder than everyone else's. Back in 2014, she told E! News, quote, "I think it's different when you have an office job because it's routine and, you can do all the stuff in the morning and then you can come home in the evening. When you're shooting a movie, they're like, we need you to go to Wisconsin for 2 weeks, and then you work 14 hours a day, and that part of it is very difficult. I think to have a regular job and be a mom is not as, of course there are challenges, but it's not like being on set." I think she failed to mention all the babysitters and full-time nannies and chefs she can afford to hire to care for her kids while she's off making millions of dollars. Number 1, Kendall Jenner and her cucumbers. Kendall Jenner once again has made herself known to be completely out of touch with reality on the new episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Kendall insisted on cutting a cucumber herself while her mom seemed worried and asked her to ask the chef to do it. But she said no because cutting a cucumber is, quote, "pretty easy." Which it is, but not for her apparently. The model absolutely could not figure out how to properly cut a cucumber to the point where Chris stepped in and told her to get their in-house chef to do it for her. People online were calling it pathetic and tragic, which it absolutely was.
Number 10, Liam Payne. The 29-year-old went on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast and became the butt of every joke on the internet for weeks later. Not only did Liam come off as entitled, but fans were shocked when he claimed that his 27 debut solo track, Strip That Down, outperformed everyone else. He said, "First song, 1 billion streams. I think it outsold everybody within the band. And I was the last to go solo and I never expected that." In fact, the whole interview came off as a bit of a humble brag, but fans totally lost it when he said, "I think it was well known within the band that I don't like taking crap. At a certain point I made that very obvious. There was one moment where there was an argument backstage and one member in particular threw me up a wall. So I said to him, if you don't remove those hands, there's a high likelihood you'll never use them again." Yeah, I don't know where he got that line from, but it sounds like he stole it from Riverdale. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9, Christina Agulera. The pop star reportedly got into a fight with Mickey Mouse in 2014. According to TMZ, Christina was celebrating her 34th birthday at Disney California Adventure and wanted to have a photo session with Mickey Mouse. But the actor was due to go on a break, and you can imagine how difficult it would be for someone to walk around in a giant Mickey Mouse costume all day. But Christina wasn't having it, and she pretty much became a Karen. She flew into a rage and called the mouse an a-hole and said, "Do you know who I am?" Not only that, but in 2008, when she was accused of stealing Lady Gaga's look for her album Bionic, she trash-talked her in the LA Times, saying, "That's funny that you mentioned that. This person was just brought to my attention not too long ago. I'm not quite sure who this person is, to be honest. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I just wasn't sure. I really don't spend any time on the internet." Talk about rude. Number 8, Quentin Tarantino. When it comes to reviewing his own movies, the director is quite clearly a fan of himself. In 2015, he told Vulture, "This might come across as egotistical, but I really don't feel in competition with anyone anymore." Tarantino also admitted that there's a little part of me that thinks everything is influenced by me, but that's just my own megalomania. But he also doesn't take criticism very well at all. Most people remember the car crash interview with Krishnan Guru Murthy in 2013, where he ended up verbally berating the British journalist for suggesting that there's a link between violence on screen and in real life. Not to mention when Django Unchained received criticism from people like Spike Lee, who described the film as disrespectful to his ancestors, Tarantino responded in a New York Times interview by saying, "When the black critics came out with savage think pieces about Django, I couldn't have cared less." But some might argue that he has a certain responsibility as a filmmaker to not just blatantly ignore people that had real issues with his movie.
Number 7, Justin Bieber and Anne Frank. While on tour in Amsterdam, Justin Bieber made a stop at the Anne Frank house back in 2013. While there, he wrote a message in the guest book that lit the internet on fire. The then 19-year-old Justin wrote, quote, "Truly inspiring to be able to come here, and was a great girl. Hopefully she would have been a believer." It provoked fierce online criticism for Bieber, who was accused of making the museum dedicated to the horrific experiences of Jewish people during the war about himself. However, the museum itself defended the star, although they did add the comment that his comment, quote, "wasn't very sensible." A spokesperson for the museum defended Bieber on the BBC, stating, quote, "He's 19. It's a crazy life he's leading. He didn't mean bad. And also, it's nice that he made the effort. He didn't have to come." And I mean, for what it's worth, and if you know me, I'm the last to defend celebrities, I kind of get where he's coming from. If Anne Frank were allowed to live now, where she would be a normal girl doing normal teenage girl things, she would have been afforded the luxury of obsessing over a pop star like so many kids do. But sadly, she wasn't. And I think that may have been the point that Bieber was trying to make, albeit in a very tone-deaf manner.
Number 6, Catherine Zeta-Jones. One of the most shocking stories about the actress came from way back in 1998, when an 8-year-old girl was attending a special screening of The Mask of Zorro. She went up to Catherine to ask her for some advice on acting, but Catherine allegedly just looked her up and down and said sarcastically, "You're pretty enough, I suppose," before turning back to her conversation. Not to mention what she said in 2018, when she went on a rant about being privileged. She said, "I'm sick of being humble, I really am. So sorry I'm rich, so sorry I'm married to a movie star, so sorry I'm not so bad looking." In fact, according to Page 6, the actress regularly sings her own praises and brags about how much money she has compared to other people. In 2003, she was quoted saying, "$1 million isn't a lot of money for people like us." I mean, if that wasn't enough bragging, she also said, "Some people collect art or lots of money. We collect houses because if we have to have something to look at, we prefer the view." Interesting.
At number 5, we have Paris Hilton. Now, Paris Hilton is known to be a huge party girl, and although the star was somewhat cute a couple decades ago, it's now starting to get pretty basic. Now we get it. The California socialite was born into money and made plenty of her own thanks to her reality TV show, fragrances, and endorsements. But instead of getting married and having kids like her sister Nikki, Paris has chosen to trail behind and live a different type of lavish lifestyle. While the heiress is currently married, she's still known for her partying and outstanding spending more than anything else. From her 20s all the way to her 40s, the star has definitely shown us a whirlwind of fun, and she's never going to stop having it. Now, the girl who coined the phrase "that's hot" isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and she's definitely trying way too hard to prove that.
Number 4, Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway has always been difficult to work with. She's also very demanding when she's off set, and reportedly shrieks at service industry employees, and thinks her plane tickets should always be upgraded automatically. A flight attendant once claimed Dunaway was screaming at everyone and saying, "Don't you know who I am?" In fact, she was fired from the Broadway production of Tea at 5 because of bizarre behavior, which included hurling objects at crew members and slapping her wig fitting team, and throwing a salad on the floor and insisting that no one wear white to rehearsal because it's distracting. According to an insider, Dunaway was so demonic on the set of Mummy Dearest that no one dared approach her for fear of being verbally attacked. In 2019, she was also sued by her former personal assistant, who claimed that she regularly and relentlessly subjected him to demeaning tirades and used his sexual orientation as a gay man against him. So it seems like she's always had trouble with showing basic human kindness.
Number 3, Logan Paul and the Japanese forest. Okay, for this one, I'll say Logan definitely got pretty swift recourse after he published a video on his YouTube channel of him and his friends traversing through a forest in Japan that is known as being a place where people go to end their own lives. He and his friends had come across a body of an individual who had done just that and decided to film the body and themselves looking shocked while staring at it. The move was swiftly remarked as extremely insensitive, especially since it was monetized, showing that Paul got financial gain off of the immense suffering of others. His career was basically temporarily ruined over the video, although he's back now with a very successful podcast, albeit it's a bit more grown up.
Number 2. Shannon Doherty. In his 2014 book, Jason Priestley, a memoir, Shannon's 90210 co-star claimed that she was a nightmare to work with and that her arrogance was beyond the pale during a trip to New York. Shannon apparently had issues with the car that picked her up and dropped her off at the airport. She said, "Really? A town car? You send a town car to take me to the airport, not a limo?" Jason claimed that Shannon proceeded to complain the whole trip about everything from the food on board to the temperature in the cabin. Not only that, but another one of her co-stars, Jenny Garth, came out saying that she was so fed up with Shannon's bad attitude one day that she lost her cool and tried to fight her, yelling, "Come on, we're taking this outside." In fact, Shannon's self-entitlement might have gotten her kicked off the hit TV show, as producer and writer Larry Mullen told Entertainment Weekly that she didn't even bother to ask permission before getting a massive haircut, which completely ruined the continuity of the season 4 finale. And coming in at number 1, Noel Gallagher. The English singer and songwriter, who is a member of the band Oasis, has a long history of questioning other artists' musical abilities. But Noel Gallagher made a whole lot of enemies when he decided to trash Harry Styles. In fact, he hated Harry even when he was in One Direction, and decided to go on record calling the band members something that rhymes with rocksuckers, and said that they would all be in rehab by the time they're 30. Not only that, but he told the Daily Star that the X Factor as an institution has nothing to do with music whatsoever, and that performers and bands that came from the show don't work as hard as real musicians. Quote, "You are not telling me that Harry Styles is currently in a room somewhere writing a song with any joy. He'll be surrounded by a lot of girls. I can assure you he's not got an acoustic guitar out trying to write a middle 8 for something." Noel also claimed that his cat could have written Harry's debut single Sign of the Times in about 10 minutes. The singer also trashed Little Mix and said that they were not in the same league as his own band, but clearly he didn't take into account the size of a fan base either.